Thanks everybody who's attending and listening. I'm Bruce Smith. I'm the CEO of Radius Gold. I'm a geologist. I've been looking for gold, silver deposits mostly for 30 years in the Sierra Madre and in the Andes from Tierra del Fuego to Canada. And I'll just run you through a project that we found recently called Maricela. So Maricela, this is Radius different projects. We've got a joint venture model at the moment. We've got the Amalia project with Pan American Silver, Plata Verde project with Fresnillo. We've got projects in Guatemala with Volcanic, and the one I want to show today that we're looking for a partnership is called Maricela. It's right on the border of Arizona in Sonora, northern Mexico. So Maricela is in a great district. This is the Porphyry district of Arizona, northern Mexico. It's one of the world's greatest copper producing districts. You can see just across the border in Tucson is the Osako Mission copper group of mines, I would say, not just a single mine. And as you come across the border, we're looking at Cananea, which is the second largest copper producer in the world, I understand. And associated with those giant copper deposits, that Cananea deposit's been mined for over 100 years almost, and it's still got 1 billion tons of ore. Associated with that is epithermal gold and silver projects. Las Chispas Metals is about just under 100 k's to the south of us. It's one of the great new discoveries of the last 10 years. And during COVID, I was looking at Google Earth and looking at some projects in this area, and I saw this image here in front of me. This is not from Google Earth, but I saw something similar to this. Saw all these historic workings on the margins of the Cananea porphyry, and thought to myself, well, who's got that? Why hasn't that been drilled before? And it turned out that the reason that nobody's drilled it or explored it is because it's historically been held by a large Mexican copper company. They weren't interested in the silver and gold veins on the margin, but a local prospector at one stage picked up the core licenses here and held them for 20 years, didn't pay his taxes, didn't do any work, and we eventually tracked him down, reached an agreement with him, paid all the back taxes, cleaned up the licenses legally, and we have them now. It's a classic epithermal system. We've got 2.5 kilometers of veins. They're intersecting anastomosing series of horsetail vein systems with their wide widths. We've sampled it extensively, and it's drill ready. So, just running too quick. Just to have a look at the type of veins, you can see, and some photos of the vein systems themselves. You see that the first photo, we've got classic banded epithermal veins. I don't think they're low sulfidation. I think they're intermediate. This Virgen de Plata vein is the main one, and then there's half a dozen veins splay off that horsetails. And you can see that the Virgin of the Virgen de Plata, this is my field assistant here where my hand is. I don't know, hope you can see the hand. That's Felix. So you can see that that vein is a good 5 meters across, and the wall rocks are stock worked and altered and host good grade. You can see the stockwork and breccia textures on the bottom photo, and that's the Arco vein, one of the ones that intersects with the Virgen de Plata. And again, this is our geologist having a look, and it's in excess of 10 meters wide. So we have done extensive sampling and mapping of this project. We've got over 600 surface rock chip samples, and I told as a team, we went in there and we channel sampled at regular intervals wherever we could get decent outcrop. and we sampled meter by meter or 2 meter samples to specifically look at exact grade and width of those outcropping veins, so we could have a concept of what the overall widths are, what the overall grades are, and then we can think about what happens underneath. So we have some very high grades. There's 10-gram samples and plus kilo silver, but overall the veins are wide, in excess of 10 meters, and overall grades are in the vicinity of 0.5 gold and 100 silver. If you look at the narrower intervals of just a few meters, you get much higher grades. But if you look at the wide width of the vein, then you've got what I think is an easy lower grade bulk tonnage open pit target. All these veins trend together, they're merging at depth, so it would make an ideal open pit target. And you can, if you run through some of these numbers, there's a lot of them, but 10 meters at 0.62 and 150 silver, it's kind of normal grades through this deposit. And you can see we've got one main vein, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different veins all intersecting. If we go down and look at what a cross section looks like, all those veins are predicted to merge. They do merge along strike, but they'll be merging at depth as well. And these, where the Virgin of Plata and the Arco vein merge down here, these are the main drill targets for at depth. So we have drill permits granted. So what we did is a bit different. From that position of knowing how wide the veins are, knowing their strike, knowing how many veins we've got, we just projected the veins to depth. We just said that let's imagine that those veins continue at depth and they maintain the same width and the same grade. What would happen? Because usually people are postulating, like Charles before, let's hope that things change at depth. Let's hope that copper vein goes down. Let's hope that it gets bigger and better. We just said, let's assume that the veins continue at depth and don't change. What happens then? So we populated a model. You can see the one we've made at the top here. We put 150 postulated drill holes into it. We populated those drill holes with exactly the same grades as we got in the surface channels. And then I sent it to an open pit mine engineer in Australia. And I said, run it through your mining software and see what comes out. And the target that comes out is a nice open pit, relatively not high strip, medium to low strip. And we'd be mining between 50 and 100 million ounces of silver. It's a silver dominant project, although there's gold with it, it's silver dominant. And the license has more than enough room to put a large scale open pit on it. And I've just got in the bottom here some comparisons. This is a pit down the road from my house where I live, and that's a pit just down the road from Maricela of First Majestic. So we have a very good idea of the target, what we're after. We know that the veins are there on surface. We know the grades. We know the widths. We think that there could be decent high-grade underground there as well. But the first easy thing to do is just to drill, 4 or 5 holes across the system. Confirm that our model's right, confirm that we have a large open pittable resource, and get some metallurgical material to run through, get some core sample for metallurgy, run that through, and we're looking for a partner to fund that. If you're interested in a project, this is drill ready. We've got a team that can operate. We're looking for somebody to come on board and fund that, and you can earn a majority. And we're pretty reasonable. There's many ways to cut the pie, so you can talk to me and I'll figure out a way. All Radius is looking for is something that, if we make a decent discovery, that our shareholders get, great benefit. So there's lots of ways to do a deal, as long as Radius's shareholders are going to be happy and we can get this drill tested. There's a deal to be done. So that is my story about Maricela. Radius is always coming up with new projects. I find one every 6 to 12 months, so there'll be more in future. So thank you very much for your time, and back to you.